So many names. I love that. So I'm Vivi, as Andrea kindly said. I'm the founder of Blackbullion. Feel free to follow us on Instagram. I get in trouble if I don't say that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And as Bronwyn said, I love questions. I really, really do. So if you have anything you want to ask about anything, it's a total AMA. Just drop any messages that you want in the chat, and I will try and address as many questions as is humanly possible. But I'm going to crack on with this. And so I look forward to your questions and any comments and any thoughts. So Blackbullion is a fintech for education. That's what we do. And I always say right at the beginning that if you want to make sense of the world, this crazy world in which we live, I recommend the book, Who Moved My Cheese? It is a tiny book. It's only about 50 pages long. You can get it for free. There is a free PDF on Google. And I think it's a really nice way of thinking about the world, of thinking about change, and of thinking about your place in an ever-changing world. So I kind of tell everybody to read it. What I've been asked to do is kind of walk you through how I ended up doing what I'm doing, and the waves of up and the waves of down that have brought me to be doing the job that I'm doing, which is as a technology founder in the great city of London, even though, yes, I'm Australian. That is the accent that you're hearing, although I become a British citizen tomorrow. So it's very exciting. So I started my first business when I was 6 years old. Thank you. I ran a school in my parents' basement. I was teaching 40 4-year-olds mathematics at the age of 6. I was a proper nerd. There are no nerds quite like me. And then when I was 8, I set up a stall where I was selling chocolates and chips, but I didn't understand that you need to make profit. So that didn't last very long. Finished school. I went to university. I studied economics and marketing. I loved economics and needed to choose a second major, and went, oh, marketing looks fun. Let's do that. That was as much thought as went into the marketing side. Graduated into a recession. Not the first recession of my life so far, and couldn't find any jobs in marketing. There were no jobs for economists, and I ended up working in sales, which is, I have to say, probably the best thing that ever happened to me. And I will talk about skills that I think are really important going forward. Sales is absolutely one of them. So I ended up working in sales. I was making huge money for a 21, 22-year-old. Never really loved it, but I loved the people component of sales. I really love people. Moved to the UK from Australia, started working in the same, for the competitor company of the sales company that I worked for. I very quickly got headhunted into the charity sector, which basically meant that somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, you have the skills we want at our business, come and work for us. So I didn't have to produce a CV. I didn't have to apply for a job. I just got picked up and dropped into a new job, which is great. Worked in charities for a couple of years. Then I got headhunted again into wealth management. Private banking is basically just banking for very, very rich people. So the guys mostly men that I was working for are people who travel by private jet and live in Mayfair. It's that sort of wealth. Which was a lot of fun. But then the 2008 financial crisis hit. Yes, I am quite an old lady. The 2008 financial crisis hit, and I decided that just banking wasn't for me anymore. It was a lot of greedy people, some of them very nice, some of them less nice, and it just wasn't an environment I wanted to be in anymore. I'd earned good money. I'd bought my own apartment, and it was time to try something different. And so I started Blackbullion doing workshops. So much like this, but in real life on university campuses, talking about budgeting and debt and investing and credit scoring and all that very exciting stuff that we don't learn in school. And after a while, students were saying to me, why can't I just get this stuff on my phone? And it was like, actually a really good question. Why can't people just get this on their phone? So I didn't know anything, and I'll be the first person to admit it. And so I hired some people to help me build out a technology platform, and we put on all of the content on there and all of the learning on there. So instead of having to listen to me about credit scoring and debt and savings, you could now do it all on your phone in the middle of the night if you wanted, which was great. And the beginning of my life really as an entrepreneur and a startup founder. We have then gone into fintech, which some of you might be familiar with the language, which is this idea of finance happening on your phone instead of in a bank. And we started to move in that direction. And then, of course, coronavirus hit. And so we started to do even more in finance and working even more with universities online. And then we've got this new recession, whether it's going to happen or not quite going to happen, we're not quite sure. But that's really been the story of my life, by way of saying, you never really know what's going to happen next, but you always need to be open to the next opportunity. So if you had asked me when I finished school what I wanted to be when I grow up, I would have told you I wanted to be an economist. That's what I wanted to be. I was good at it. I loved it. Today, I do things like this, and I cannot imagine doing anything else. So this is a little way of telling you, if you don't really know what you want to do, that's okay, because most people don't, and you'll find your way over time. So don't panic if you're not like my little brother, who when he was 3 years old said, I'm going to be a doctor. And today he's 40. And guess what? He's a doctor. But most people don't have that. So if you're worrying about not knowing, don't worry at all. So what do I do all day? I was thinking about it. It was quite a difficult question because I do everything, because we're a small team. We're only 15 people. And I do everything from making sure people have birthday cards to making sure that we hire new people to taking out the garbage when we were in the office. But really, there are three main things that startup founders do. The first is we make sure that everything is just running as it should, that people are doing their jobs, that people are delivering what they're supposed to be delivering, that they're showing up on time, that they're not taking sick days when they shouldn't. Keep the train on the track. That's job number one. We have to keep the team motivated, which is job number two, but technically it's job number one. If you don't have a happy team, if you don't have people that love what they're doing and they're excited to come into work, then you can't build the kind of business that we want to build. And then you have to make sure that you never run out of money. Those are the only three things. So if you're thinking, oh, this being a founder entrepreneurship thing looks kind of exciting, these are the three things that you need to be able to do. But you also need to be able to take out the garbage and look after the books and do the sales and do the marketing and do everything. So it's a very all-encompassing job. But like I said, I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. So that's my story. The question is, what is yours going to look like? And I'm in the lucky position where I get to tell you what I think is worth doing and is worth thinking about when you think about what your life is going to look like beyond school. So this has always been true and has never been as true as it is right now. And that is that the future is going to belong to the people who understand and are comfortable with change. Change has always been something that has happened right from the beginning of time. Change has always been the only constant. A lot of people are not comfortable with change. It's really interesting. A lot of people really struggle when things shift, and things shift all the time. So the book, Who Moved My Cheese? This is what it's all about. And that's why I recommend it to everybody. So get comfortable with the idea that things change all of the time and that you need to often adapt to that, and that people around you may not adapt as well as you do. So because I'm an educator and I believe in some really practical tips, I've put down some ideas of how you can do these things, because otherwise people say, oh, change is coming. And it's like, okay, great. But like, what do I do now? So here are some real things that you can do. Okay. So the first is to become resilient. Now we hear about this a lot. Basically, resilience means that if somebody gives you a metaphoric punch in the gut, so not an actual punch in the gut, because that's, not cool. But if somebody gives you a metaphoric punch in the gut and you hit the ground, can you get back up again? That's what resilience is all about. And if you're a startup founder, you take 10 to 20 punches in the gut every day. So you better be able to get back up again, or you're not going to be able to do the job. So how can you do that? So the actions that I recommend is learning how to be kind to yourself. The ladies and I were talking about my chocolate obsession and my coffee obsession before I came onto the call, right? Look after yourself, get enough sleep, look after your mental health, look after your physical health, look after your financial health, be kind to yourself. Hold the things that you believe hold them a little bit less tightly. One of the reasons I believe that we have so much anger out in the world right now is that everyone is convinced that they are the only one that's right. Newsflash, we change our minds all the time. Things change all the time. People's opinions change all the time. Give yourself and your mind and your space the ability to change your mind in a way that doesn't become embarrassing. And the best way to be able to perceived as embarrassing, right? The best way to be able to do that is to acknowledge that you might be wrong, right? Your perspective might be wrong. I love chocolate and I'm convinced it's good for me, but I might be wrong. So leave the door open, hold your convictions a little bit less tightly. Face up to your fears doesn't mean jumping out of airplanes, although I do recommend you do that when you're old enough because it is kind of cool. But if you're really scared of public speaking, if you're really scared of reading, if you're very scared of talking to people that you don't know, not in the dark, not when it's scary and dangerous, face up to these things, try them, try cooking, try something new, try talking to somebody who you disagree with. Face up to your fears because life is scary, but it's not as scary as you think. It just isn't. As long as you're safe, obviously, be very safe. And start failing. Failing is great. Failing means you're trying new things. If you never fail, it means that you've never tried anything new. And as they say in Harry Potter, if you're not trying something new, then kind of what's the point, right? So try new things because it's the best way to grow. The future is all about the intersection of different kinds of skills. So I think of it in terms of going wide and then going deep, but going wide. So read more things, read people that you disagree with, read about things that you never thought you'd care about. I am halfway through a book of philosophy. Now, I don't care if a bear does his business in the forest, if we can hear him. I don't really care about that. But it turns out I'm really interested in political philosophy. Go figure. I never knew. And the only reason I know is because I read this book that my best friend bought me for my birthday. She was like, I don't know if you'll like it, but it could be interesting. Read more stuff. There is so much knowledge out there. It's yours for the taking. Stand on the shoulder of giants. Try some new things. Like I said, read more things, try new things. Find the things that you get really passionate about. We overuse the word. We really do. Everyone's passionate about everything. But the truth is, there's probably something that you can't stop thinking about. When I started the business, I lived and breathed it 24/7. I know every part of this business. I love every part of this business. It's a passion. Find what it is that sets you on fire. There will be stuff. And by the way, it'll change as you grow up. And that's great, right? If you're excited about saving the donkeys or saving the planet or any sort of thing, find what it is, learn about it, talk to other people, get excited. Get excited. Life is about getting exciting. Life is also a little bit about getting uncomfortable. So other people are going to have different passions to yours. Other people are going to have different perspectives. There are going to be books that you don't agree with. Stepping out of what is normal for you is always a little bit uncomfortable. For me, leaving a job that was a well-paying job, that was a 40-hour-a-week job, and suddenly earning no money and working twice as many hours, very uncomfortable. But I embraced it. And it was like, well, if I fail, I fail, right? Sometimes it's all up here. It's all about the attitude. And the future is all about soft skills. So you've heard about this before: listening skills, communication skills, learning how to influence other people. That's what sales is all about. Being able to read people, understand what makes them tick, developing self-awareness. These are the things that I'm good at. These are the things that I'm not good at and I can get better at. Understand yourself, be more human. The world that you are going to live in is going to have a lot more robots and artificial intelligence. And you know what those things are never going to be able to do? They're never going to be as human as we are. So focus on being more human, because that's where the real skill is going to be going forward. Imagine a robot nurse holding the hand of somebody who's going through cancer treatment, right? Like, it's ridiculous. There are certain things that only humans are going to be able to do. So focus on developing the human side of you, because that's the bit that you'll never lose, and nothing will ever be able to beat you in that. And then lifelong learning and reskilling, obviously something I believe really strongly about. Get self-motivated. Once you leave school and once you leave university or college or apprenticeships, no one's going to be pushing you to learn. And if you stop learning, then suddenly the world gets a little bit more difficult, because other people are going to be constantly learning. Develop skills that can help other people, right? Build communities, be part of that. Grow your interests, look after your body and your mind. Your mental health and your physical health are the foundation of everything. And get creative. take your photos, do your writing, wander around, talk to people, join clubs, join societies, build your community. The more of you that you engage with, the happier you will be. That's kind of just the truth of life. Don't be all about you, be all about we, all about the community, whether it's your religious community, it's your family community, it's your friends community, it's the community in London. There's a lot of people out there who you probably want to be friends with. So time to find them. Not going to spend a lot of time on this. Feel free to screenshot it. And I know that there's a recording, but Ikagi is a really interesting Japanese idea. I'm obsessed by Venn diagrams, so forgive my nerdiness. But really, you want to find something that you love, that you're passionate about, that the world really needs, that you're good at, and that you will get paid for. And if you can meet that area right in the middle that's labeled Ikagi, then life becomes a lot more content, because you're doing something that you love, but you can also put food on the table, and you're also helping the world to be a better place. And what could you possibly ask for more? So screenshot it and have a look. I do recommend kind of thinking about this. Sometimes you just want to make a lot of money, and that's okay, right? But have a think about what makes you happy, but also the practicalities. You have to pay your rent. You have to put food on the table. Passion doesn't do that. Right? There has to be a certain amount of reality behind it as well. So it's a really interesting concept. So a couple of final tips, and then really open it up to questions if you've got any, and I'd love your thoughts and questions. The first is, money is about opportunity. Don't think of money as being evil. It's really not the right way to think about money. If you're using money to just buy stuff, then you're not using your money right. But if you have money, you can support your community. You can support charities that are important. You can put food on the table. You can look after your family and friends. And if you are able to be financially independent, and then you can always look after yourself and your family. And in particular for women, this is a real issue, and you will hear this a lot, but relationships where a woman and a man don't have some financial freedom of their own can be dangerous. So just make sure that you've always got a little bit of money that is yours, that you're not using just to buy a new pair of sneakers, or to buy another t-shirt, or to buy another whatever. Use it for what money is great for. The circle around you is more important than anything else. Find people who are supportive of you. Find people who will help you grow, no matter what age you're at. It could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be your teachers, it could be your youth movements, your religious groups, your community groups. The people that are around you will help you become the person that you are meant to be. And I don't say that just at your age. It's equally true for Andrea and for Bronwyn and for I. None of us are yet the person that we're meant to become. We're all becoming that person, and the circle around you will help you become that person. So make sure that you're surrounded by people that make you better, and make sure that you are making other people better, because that's how we all raise the standards everywhere. Don't be the one to stand in your own way. So imposter syndrome, the idea of, oh, I'm not quite good enough, and I don't really know, and I'll never be able to do it, and I'm a bit of a failure. It's really common. Like, it's really common. All of us go through it. It is very real. It is very standard. It happens to everyone at every age. Work on it, slay that beast, because don't you be the one who stands in your way. If opportunities come, when I was headhunted, I wasn't sure I could do the job, but it was like, you know what? They think I can do the job. I'm going to do the job, and what I don't know, I will learn. And had I not done it, it would have been my fault, right? So don't you be the one to stand in your way. At the same time, don't let anybody else stand in your way either. When my brother was 3 and he said, I'm going to be a doctor, I don't remember anyone telling him not to be ridiculous. But even if they had, he would have become a doctor. Like, it's what he wanted to do. It was his life to live, and he was going to do it. So make sure that other people telling you that you can't do something doesn't make you think that you can't do it, because I bet you can. And I don't even know you, and I bet you can. So take the reins of your life. Don't let other people stand in the way. Sometimes the people who love you the most can say things that you will take the wrong way, and it'll lead you down a path that's not the path that you want to go on. You reach for the stars, and don't let anybody stop you. And sometimes the people that you think are there for you aren't. And in a world of social media, unfortunately, sometimes we see this. There are celebrities and the like that we think are kind of there for us and they care about us. This whole football thing, right? We think that these people are on our side. Turns out not really. So just be careful about what people are actually doing, not what you think they should be doing. Surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with people who make you better, who make you feel better. Those are the people that will really help you to change your life. And finally, no pressure, but is the world better for you being in it? And I would say that it is. How do you make sure that that is always going to be true? What can you do to make the world a better place, to make humanity a better place? Just being a good person is good enough, right? You don't have to be Greta. You really don't. Even Greta is probably not Greta, right? You don't have to be talking at the UN, and you don't have to be raising millions of pounds like Captain Tom. What you need to be is the best version of yourself, because that is enough. But make sure that it's enough for you. And if you want to be doing more, then make sure that you do. Because if there's one thing we need on this planet, is we need more leaders, and we need more people who want to make things better. And I bet that in this group, there's a whole bunch of people that can do that for us. So we're counting on you. No pressure, but we're counting on you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of my presentation. I really love this quote by Ken Robinson, the late Ken Robinson, who sadly passed away, who believes that the problem isn't that we aim high and that we fail. It's that we aim too low and that we succeed. And I agree. It is better to reach for the moon and to only land on the stars than it is to reach for, the ground and then achieve that. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're inspired to go out there and conquer the world. I would love any of your questions and comments. And please do follow us on Instagram on Blackbullion, because we are trying to make the world a better place in our own little way. And we'd love to see your faces there. So thank you so much for letting me share with you some of my thoughts.